Behold, the list of furry convention Iceberg videos on YouTube. If you look closely, you might notice that there are none. Hey y'all, it's Mex. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really understand Iceberg videos. And no, not the NASCAR YouTuber Iceberg. These things. From what I've gathered over time and watching other YouTubers cover them, I've learned that it's, in a nutshell, a deep dive into a culture, fandom, or topic to specify or talk about a ton of different subjects that encompass that overarching topic. The tip of the iceberg is your common knowledge, and each section of the iceberg gets increasingly more obscure or odd as you go along, until you reach the bottom of the iceberg where you have your unproven myths and rumors. Just, you know, off the rails wacky stuff at that point. There's not really any rules to it other than the ones that you set yourself, and I'm really good at setting my own rules, so it's relatively unstructured and freeform. But if I'm not as familiar with them, then why make one? Well, that's a good question. First off, what better way to learn than tackle it yourself? I mean, have you ever had a job that just trained you like that? Just give you e-learnings, then just wish you luck with the real thing? Have you ever had that? Have you? Because I sure haven't. Secondly, I was actually looking up Iceberg videos to watch, and I figured I'd look up Furry Convention Iceberg, because there's so much stuff that happens at cons, so I can just take my pick from what I'm sure is a wide range of videos. What? So I made this post on Blue Sky, and then I got this response. So here we are, and joining me to build this iceberg is another YouTuber that I've actually looked up to since before I started making these silly videos, Misha B. Barkin.
Heyo everyone, Misha B. Barkin here. First off, thank you so much to Mex for letting me hop on and help with this video. I've been making videos about various topics in the furry community, and I've always kinda wanted to do an iceberg video, so when Mex made that post, I commented in that, haha, just kidding. Unless sort of vibe. So with our powers combined, we're here to deliver you one hot and ready iceberg video.
So we decided to make this iceberg 6 tiers, with one being specific events or references, while the other side, we just decided to put different convention names. Trust me, there are 6 different tiers of cons.
We're gonna introduce each tier and its criteria as we go along. And remember, this is just our opinion and our takes on things. Try not to be too toxic in the comments. You can give your opinions if you disagree, but like, don't shoot the messenger, please.
And by the way, we're gonna miss stuff, so if you notice we missed something, feel free to drop it in the comments. Also, as a general rule with my videos, as always, I generally don't talk about super controversial stuff that paints a target on an individual or an entity, save a few indirect tongue-in-cheek exceptions here and there, and Elon Musk. So when assembling this list, we left off anything that we feel would be disrespectful or damaging to include. Also, duly note, we are both from North America, so a lot of our experiences and observations are going to be primarily from a US or Canada-based standpoint. Also, one last thing. This video is not safe for work. Do not watch this out loud at work. I mean, unless your coworkers are into that, I guess.
Mex, are you gonna keep stalling? We're like over 3 minutes in by now.
Oh shoot, sorry. With all that, let's dive into the officially unofficial furry convention iceberg. The universe is beautiful. This is your common knowledge. Stuff that even non-furries would know about. This includes cons like Anthrocon, Furry Week in Atlanta, and Midwest Fur Fest as the 3 biggest furry conventions in the world. I'd also argue Eurofurence could go here, but I think you and I were in disagreement on that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's super known outside of the community, but it is also a pretty big con.
It was one of the first conventions I ever heard about, so I actually watched some old dance videos from Eurofurence as some of my first convention exposure on YouTube. Anyways, Fursuit Parade. This is a staple event of most furry conventions and is known by outsiders through it being such a public spectacle, especially at Anthrocon where the suitors are on full display in the public. Like I said in a previous video though, these are an endangered event at some conventions due to heat exhaustion and fire code concerns and have been ultimately replaced at many, but it's certainly one of the most well-known events at furry conventions.
Yeah, while I do love doing the parades and seeing all the awesome suits marching on by, after waiting nearly 2 hours at the Anthrocon parade this year to walk for like 10 minutes tops, I can kind of see why they'd cut it.
Yeah, and a lot of people who have been in quite a few different parades, I said this in a previous video, but a lot of people that have been in different parades or so many parades end up getting a little bit of fatigue from it.
I've only been in 2, so it's still due to me.
I think I got tired after about my 7th.
Oh my god. Next up is the various charities at cons. Almost every con will include a charity or organization that they're raising money for. This can range from zoos, wildlife sanctuaries, LGBT rights groups, and much more. And these almost always raise a ton of money.
Well, the furries helped out their own furry four-legged friends as anthrocon broke a fundraising record over the weekend.
Take anthrocon 2024, which was able to raise over $100,000 for Grey Paws Sanctuary, a Pennsylvania-based nonprofit that helps older dogs.
The Fursuit Dance Competition. One of the premier events of American furry conventions, and is held at most international conventions as well. This event is oftentimes held during con primetime Saturday night, but many cons hold it on Sunday. This has been a widely loved event since Furry Weekend Atlanta 2008. A top 3 is announced at the end, the winners usually receiving a prize ranging from free registration the following year to a medal or trophy commemorating the achievement.
Kids, plug your ears, we're talking about the 18+ market. It's fairly common knowledge that some furries do have interest in more adult things, and this can be seen in 18+ markets. This usually takes 2 forms, a small section blocked off where they'll check your ID before letting you in, or through something called a night market. Night markets are, well, at night, and usually involve a dance in an 18 or 21 and up space with a focus on being able to dress in more of an adult or kinky way, with the side market being open for furries to get adult items.
Adults gonna adult, what do you say?
Adults gonna adult!
Yeah, adults gonna adult!
Yeah!
Go to any convention with a bunch of nerds, there's probably some kinky version of their interest somewhere.
Oh yeah.
This will be general fandom knowledge. This is stuff that new furries or casual furries with little to no online presence would know about, but is generally viewed as a fandom-centered knowledge. You won't find too many folks on the sidewalk that would know about these. Conventions in this category would include Megaplex, Further Confusion, Eurofurence, Denfur, Anthro New England, Biggest Little FurCon, Infernal Equinox. This would also include a passing knowledge that most areas of the world have at least one con within a few hours flight at most. Chlorine Con.
Hotel guests donning animal costumes of all shapes and sizes were forced out onto the streets after a chlorine gas leak forced an evacuation of the Hyatt Regency O'Hare early Sunday morning.
Being that this was a national news story at the time, this is one of the rare instances of an incident or occurrence at a furry convention being on this level of collective knowledge. Someone who, to this day, has not been caught, broke a jar of chlorine powder in the 9th floor stairwell of the Hyatt, prompting a hazmat response and a full hotel evacuation for nearly 4 hours. I made a short on my own experience, but at the time it was truly a scary experience when we were all told there's a gas leak and not much other context, and watching some of the less lucky people walking out of the hotel late, throwing up on the concrete right as we were ushered off the Bryn Mawr block at 1:30 in the morning in 22-degree weather. We didn't know ultimately how bad or innocuous this was, but in the moment we legit feared people died.
Furry fans attending the 2014 Midwest Fur Fest convention, also known as anthrocon,
Thankfully, everyone harmed by exposure was able to make a full recovery, but this has gone down in furry convention infamy.
The COVID years. Now, it goes without saying that COVID caused some problems for furry cons, as with the pandemic happening, it wasn't exactly a great idea to host cons, and all of them got cancelled. The silver lining is that this caused furries to look elsewhere to have meets and see each other, thus putting many eyes on alternative methods to be with friends, and introducing online cons. The first version of this that I saw and attended was known as Down Home FurCon, which took place on Twitch and Picardo. Well, it was supposed to be on Picardo, but that site could not handle the traffic. It died within like 4 hours and never came back. This was fun, but there wasn't really person-to-person interactions like you'd have at FurCons. It was more so just watching live streams for the whole weekend. That all changed when Furality came to be. Furality took place in the game VR Chat, which I'm almost certain you've heard of. VR Chat was perfect. It provided the ability for furries to have meets, host panels, play games, and so much more, all from the safety and comfort of their own homes. Furality and VR Chat in general got many furries through quarantine and still allowed us to safely be with friends and hold meets, and allowed many furries to get their start in content creation. From furries making VR Chat bases and reskinning models to furry streamers having a more fluid VTuber model than just a PNG.
Why do you gotta insult us PNGs like that?
No, I'm calling myself out. I use one too when I stream.
The demise of Rainforest. Being that I was not at this con, I saw this all unfold on the wild world of an adolescent Twitter. Twitter aged down, by the way. Nowadays it's a screaming toddler. There's a ton of videos covering this, and I don't think I have anything new or unique to add to the conversation, given that I don't know everything since I don't have that experience, but it went viral for a reason, and has been an easy piece of low-hanging fruit for outrage tube essayists ever since. Either way, the con was essentially blacklisted from all major hotels in Washington state and was forced into an early retirement. Anthro Northwest has continued in its wake for some time, keeping a respectable low profile and thankfully out of the news headlines.
Tier 3 is Adept Fandom knowledge. This is stuff that online active furries would know about, but not casual or non-online ones. Think chronically online, think like uses Twitter 24 hours a day. People who have been around this fandom for a year or two would be aware of things under this tier. This would include cons such as Furry Down Under, Japan Meeting of Furries, Nordic FuzzCon, Confuzzled, Vancouver, and referring to the biggest 3 cons as the Big 3. Now with that said, let's talk about FashCon, aka Free For All. Okay, I'm gonna try and sum up nearly 2 years worth of content into like a minute, but if you're interested in hearing more about this con, I have 3 videos about it up on my channel. Long story short, in 2022, a bunch of alt-right furries decided that they were sick of being banned from other cons and tired of how political cons had become, apparently, and made their own con. Free for all, baby! It had a ton of red flags going into it, considering the staff, its attendees, and much more. Again, I don't really have time to go into all of it here, but just know that the more well-known furries in attendance weren't known for being upstanding members of society. They also gave me a shout out. That was interesting to wake up to. The first year went okay, I guess, seeing a couple hundred attendees and nothing god-awful happening, so they looked forward to the following year, Free For All 2023. This one was much worse. This time around, there was significantly less people in attendance, garnering only like 55 people, with most being staff. That's the size of a good fur meet, man, not a con. That's just crazy. They made posts about Free For All 2024, but considering it's now October and the last 2 years happened in July, I don't have high hopes for it happening. There was also a ball pit.
Ball pits, forever. Furry convention protesters. Cons have long had protesters for a long time. Earliest instance I know about this is from anthrocon in the late 2000s, but unfortunately they've made a recent comeback due to the forced politicization of it from American conservatives and news outlets for people with nothing constructive to do. If you see them, by the way, it's legal to give them wedgies.
BLFC pizza incident. Oh, bingo, this one's a fun topic. During BLFC 2021, there was a room party where 18 furries came together and, well, came together onto a pizza pie before proceeding to eat it. That's not amore in the slightest. By next morning, it was all over Twitter, and everyone who wasn't at this con had heard about this new pizza topping and were posting all about it, myself included. Now listen, this is weird and pretty gross in mine and a lot of people's opinions, but it also wasn't that big of a deal. There are people straight up saying that BLFC was the worst con ever because of this and was a Rainforest 2.0, which, no. That said though, ew. Just, ugh.
I think every year they try to make a new Rainforest, don't they? Every single con I'm at, they say, oh, it's just Rainforest 2.0. Motherfucker, we are not going to have a Rainforest 2.0. I don't think that level of failure is possible in the fandom anymore. At least I hope not. Furries saved a restaurant. A little restaurant called Fernando's in downtown Pittsburgh had become a social hub for anthrocon and a staple of the event unaffiliated with the convention itself. And its owner, Fernando de Carvalho, welcomed the convention each year with specials for the con, souvenir dog bowls, and just was in general happy to serve us. One year, in fact, Fernando intervened into an incident where furries were being harassed by folks and was hit in the head with a brick defending us. However, in summer 2012, it became clear that Fernando's was in financial trouble and facing closure. I forgot exactly what platform this fundraiser occurred on, but the fandom caught wind of this and managed to raise over 20 grand to help Fernando out.
Channel 11 learns it wasn't about breaking records, but rather just staying afloat. Owner Fernando de Carvalho was going underwater. The furries, he says, personally bailed him out last year.
And they showed up a week later with $23,000 check.
And in thanks, he responded by rebranding his restaurant for the event as Furryland Cafe. Room 366. Room 366 as a term is defined on Wikipedia as a group of furs involved in professional fursuiting photos and cinematography, but this is not how the term came to be known. A video by Easy Wolf was leaked at Eurofurrent 17 to YouTube depicting quite a raunchy ruckus of fursuits in this hotel room. This is now generally what people think of when you refer to Room 366. For a while it became a meme in the fandom, synonymous with 621, with about as much notoriety. But yeah, when somebody refers to Room 366, this is where it derived from. Furries stopped a domestic assault. At Further Confusion 2020, a blue sedan stopped in front of a few furries and a woman could be heard screaming from inside the car. The male passenger was then seen throwing full fists at the female driver, to which several furries, some in fursuit, all present at Further Confusion, ran over and pulled 22-year-old Dimitri Hardnett from the car, restraining him until police could arrive to arrest him. Hardnett was booked into the Santa Clara County Jail for charges related to domestic violence.
Tier 4 is deep fandom knowledge. Stuff only terminally online people would know, such as your boy, but not stuff you would have to dig for to find out. Most people who have been active around the fandom for a few years would probably know about this, but not newer or hobbyist furs. Cons in this category would include regional events such as Be Whiskered, Furry, and Furlandia, and more well-known discontinued events such as Furry Connection North, FA United, and Fur Fright. For the record, support your local events.
Yeah, all the local event people work really hard, guys. We need to support them. We need to give them the money. We need to give them the money, the support, and the love. We need to give them the validation that they totally
Walk up to them
deserve.
and hand them $1,000
Oh my
right
God.
now. Furry Week in Atlanta, or FWA for short, has been in some hot water lately regarding their DJ hirings and payments. This last year, they had both Mystery Skulls and The Living Tombstone, which, don't get me wrong, are amazing acts to have, but that couldn't have been cheap. This becomes a problem when you look at the other furry DJs they had, and heard about what they were paid, which was free admission to the con, and a goodie bag. Yippee. It caused a lot of contingency within the furry music sphere, as it kind of felt like a slap to the face to spend a big portion of your budget on two popular, not exactly furry acts, and not pay those trying to make a name for themselves within the community. As a musician myself, I can tell you firsthand that it's really hard to find decent paying gigs, even outside of furry, and trying to make it in music is nothing short of an uphill battle. We should be supporting and encouraging our furry musicians first and foremost. Of course, it's not practical to expect the same amount of compensation as the two huge acts they got, and really nobody is, but man, something more than free reg would be really cool. At least comp them a room in one of the close hotels, or better yet, I don't know, pay them?
Unfortunately, I'm missing a few screenshots for context here, but I very clearly remember a PR member for FWA using the official FWA Twitter account to post a sarcastic response to people's complaints about this. Specifically, they responded to a tweet about DJ compensation with this Clawhauser gif, which obviously made the community landscape even more volatile.
Bon Voyage is a villain from The Incredibles who uses bombs. Non-furry cosplays are actually semi-common at furry cons, which we see here. This started out as a pretty cutesy cosplay and was generally a lot of fun with his satirical mischief and pretending to rob ATMs or other petty crimes. That was until FWA 2024. One of the tactical milsim furries, which is a whole nother topic, gave him a fairly realistic looking prop weapon, to which he took to a high point in the lobby, swung it around, and then pointed it at the attendees below. This caused quite a stir on Twitter and in the community in general, as surprise surprise, a group full of queer furries don't exactly like seeing a prop gun pointed at them in a crowded area. I do want to clarify that the prop weapon was properly tagged and did have an orange tip, which is really difficult to see in the videos and pictures posted. So it was tagged and checked in, which is good, but still looked pretty realistic at a glance. Unfortunately, this has kind of caused Bon Voyage to pivot from being a fun little cosplay to centering his entire personality around this one event. I mean, he still posts about this pretty regularly and brings it up, and it's been months since this happened. Sometimes there will be videos of him doing his usual antics at cons, and those are great. Hell, I saw him at AC, and it was a lot of fun. And I really wish he'd go back to just that. It's really sad to see how much people will milk something dry for just a little bit of clout. Like, yes, it gets people to talk about you, but it's also kind of ruined the original fun and whimsy of the cosplay, at least in my opinion.
Milo Yiannopoulos, NMFF 2019. Yes, I do actually mean that. These two actually do go together, and you'll see why. Milo Yiannopoulos is an irrelevant right-wing extremist who wished he had the clout furries do, so he decided one year he wanted to put on a panel at MFF called The Politics of Fur. He adopted a fursona and even claimed he registered for the con. But after this became public, he was rightly put in his place just like Alex Jones. MFF rescinded his registration almost immediately and announced that he would not be welcome at MFF or any future event, and that hate speech is not welcome. Yiannopoulos, while in the throes of a temper tantrum after receiving news of his registration being rescinded, proceeded to make a social media threat that he'd be coming with some friends, which proceeded to be interpreted by the grapevine as a dog whistle that he'd be bringing a weapon to the con. While I do believe this is a terrible thing to say on social media, I don't think he said it because he actually intended on doing it. He was just a man-child throwing a tantrum because he didn't get his way. Dude just wishes he was 2 Griffin, because at least 2 used to be occasionally funny. No redeeming qualities with Milo. I don't know him my platform, and neither does MFF. Moving on.
Violent J at MFF. Violent J is a member of the group Insane Clown Posse, or ICP. I don't really know much about the group other than their music really isn't for me. Well, except for this part. That said, one of its members, Violent J, has a daughter named Ruby, who is a furry. And what do furries do? They go to cons. And since Ruby was 12 in 2018, she needed parental supervision, so who better than her father? With the name Violet J, I'm realizing this could cause some problems, but they got it and everything was fine. So this led to Violent J attending Midwest Fur Fest in 2018, and even making his own fursuit to further support his daughter. Say what you want about ICP, but this guy genuinely seems like an awesome dad. This led to many pictures and posts being made, and many furries cheering him and his daughter on.
Furries appear on Hardcore Pawn.
This is Cody Collie. Back here, this is Frisbee.
Okay, so I'm putting this on here because while this didn't exactly take place at a con, it did take place during one and involved people who were actively attending the event when it was filmed. The aforementioned Furry Connection North in Novi, Michigan. FCN was in its final year of 2013 when an episode of Hardcore Pawn was being filmed nearby, and a few fursuiters caught wind of this and made their way to the set. In a later NDA violation, one of the suitors told everyone the full story. They were given the pendants to sell by one of the producers. And the line, "We're heading to a sporting event in Miami," was obviously untrue since it wouldn't make geographic sense for them to travel away from Miami to stop here since they were attending FCN. And yeah, the suitor got a C&D for talking about this. The suitor also claimed they made sure their suits were washed, so the lady saying "you stink" was just her playing up some shit for the camera. Anyways, this weird little story has kind of been lost to time, but I found it pretty funny at the time it happened, so thought I'd share it with y'all.
Andrew McCutchen. Andrew McCutchen is a right fielder for the Pittsburgh Pirates, an MLB team for those of you non-sports furries. Now, Pittsburgh is in the same city that anthrocon takes place in, which means for one weekend a year, Pittsburgh downtown area is taken over by us furries. And Andrew has noticed this, tweeting out just furries on the weekend of AC for many years now. This exceeds just a meme though, as he seems to weirdly play better when the furries are in town.
The anthrocon, the furry convention back in Pittsburgh again, and McCutchen tweeted out this morning just the word furry, and in 15 career games when that convention has been in town and McCutchen has played here, a career .419 hitter.
I don't know what we're doing to cause that, but you're welcome, Andrew. I'm sure AC would love to have you come give a panel or something.
What do Andrew McCutchen and NASCAR driver Mike Harmon have in common? The fall of Okon. This will likely get a more detailed retelling in a future video I'm planning, but Okon was a regional event that took place on a state-owned campsite and had taken place every year since 2003. But the event was on thin ice in the mid-2010s due to complaints from the park about drug and alcohol use on the premises during the event. And all of this culminated in their 2014 event, marking its untimely end. Basically, some folks got high and had sex in a public space, which later on led to Okon losing its contract with the venue, but there's more to it than just this. Okon made a statement saying that they'd received a chill indifference from park managers and rangers, that the park rangers didn't appreciate what the fandom and self-expression of the folks therein represented, and that they had multiple times asked for partners of the same sex to not hold hands or show affection, or even harassing attendees based on their looks, suggesting they were on drugs even when they weren't. Guys, the rabbit hole here is actually really deep, and I'm on limited time here. This one will probably be put in a future essay when I'm not as pressed for time.
Mary E. Loud is a furry author and was supposed to be one of Furlandia's guests of honor in 2024. They write various types of novels, with some having a focus in sci-fi and space, which was perfect for 2024's theme. Now everything was fine and dandy until Loud just kinda started posting AI-generated pictures like multiple times a day. They also started using AI-generated images for their book covers, which, as you can imagine, didn't exactly sit well in a community full of artists. It was due to this that Furlandia actually released a statement in February 2024, stating that Mary E. Loud had been removed from being the writing guest of honor. They took this well, of course, and apologized for their— I'm kidding, they doubled down and tripled their AI art posting. What could have been a great opportunity for an author to get their name out there and expose many people to their novels turned into them doing nothing but posting AI slop daily, only garnering like 3 likes maximum on any given post.
Sarduyan. Sarduyan is a Japanese furry acrobat and stage performer who performed at anthrocon 2012 and 2013, and returned to perform at anthrocon 2024, stunning audiences with his incredible balance and death-defying stunts, and giving me massive anxiety when he would do things like this. Tier 5. This is your obscure fandom knowledge for being total furry trash. This is stuff you have to research and dig for in order to find. Not many people will understand what you mean when you bring it up. If you know, you know. Cons in this category will be a lot of cons that are defunct, devolved, never happened, or little evidence exists of them ever having happened. Furry Spring Break, Ice Fur Cabin, Furry Cruise, Spokanthro, and Fur Raleigh fit this category, as well as Furry End of the World Con, which I'm giving a full entry to. Furry End of the World Con was an event held in Rochester, New York from December 20th to December 23rd, 2012, which, as anyone from my generation will remember, was the weekend the world had been long prophesized to end, December 21st, 2012 specifically, as that was the day the Mayan calendar cycle ended. It billed itself as the last furry convention ever. This convention and further events became known as FurryCon and ran until 2016.
Weird question, do you remember what you were doing on the 21st of 2012? Because, like, weirdly enough, I just remember sitting on my family home's couch and just being like, well, if this happens, it happens, I guess. There's nothing I can do about it. What were you up to on that day?
I was a waiter, and that was a Friday night, so I was probably working.
You were working on the last day on Earth?
Yup.
God damn. Capitalism exists till the very end, I guess.
Make that money. We gotta survive the apocalypse on our boat made out of dollar bills. Furry Weekend Atlanta Shadow Lady is eternal. She knows all.
So for a bit of palate cleanser, because not everything on this low of the tier of the iceberg has to be god-awful, I want to talk about a con called Spokanthro. Spokanthro's debut year was in 2019 and was a small con in the Spokane, Washington area. Now all the other cons that happen in Spokane are usually on the west side, so it was kind of refreshing to see an Eastern Washington con pop up. And all things considered, the con ran really well. It had an attendance of 248 people for a debut year, and had plans to come back next year for Spokanthro 2020. We can all kind of put together what happened there, can't we? It was really sad to see because I genuinely had a great time at this con. It was the first con I'd ever been to and really helped me come out of my shell, especially as being a furry. And to see it die because of the pandemic was really hard to see. People keep trying to bring it back, but I don't really have high hopes for it, unfortunately. So for now, we'll just have to stick to West Coast cons.
Everyone goes on about how my howl was best howl, but y'all cretins weren't at Megaplex 2016. Saturday night, I'm not gonna go on about how my hotel room started the howl, because while I do actually believe my room did, it was no accident that the entire atrium joined in the same time we did. Just a bunch of people all here with the same idea, a primetime Saturday night howl fresh off of the memory of Zootopia. This was so loud, in fact, that the con had to address it in closing ceremonies, asking us to please not do that again.
And they're asking us not to howl tonight, please. But the howl last night was amazing. I've seen multiple videos of that.
Boo, the Connor haters, boo. No, you guys probably got noise complaints though.
Imagine how many $350 fines got handed out.
Oh god. The Cheese Grater cosplay. This one's a weird one, because I'm almost certain that a lot of people have seen the Cheese Grater cosplay, but not everyone knows where it originates from. God, how do I put this? When a raccoon and a kitchen utensil love each other very much? There's a pretty graphic image involving a furry art piece of a cheese grater going where it absolutely does not belong, and it's kind of known as the furry community shock image. Look, I'm trying so hard to explain this in a way that doesn't get Mex demonetized. I don't advise searching for this image, but if you do look into it, be warned, and don't blame me, for it was you who did not heed my warning.
Viewer discretion is advised. Too much light makes the baby go blind. This was the longest running show in the history of Chicago theater put on by a troupe called the Neo-Futurists, running 50 weekends a year between 1988 and 2016. But why is it here, on a furry convention iceberg? Well, research is a little hazy, but I can tell you that they performed at FurFest at least 6 years, between 2009 and 2016. Again, this is where research gets a little hazy, as MFF 2016 has the play on its program, but in November 2016, so right before the December con, the creator of the show, Greg Allen, revoked the Neo-Futurist rights to perform the show, retaining the rights to found a Detroit company called Untheater, which continues to produce the show to this day. Did anyone happen to attend this show when they performed at MFF? If so, how was it? Let me know in the comments.
Who's that Pokemon?
Fiona Murray, aka Booba Horse, aka PETA, the horse is here, is a horse fursuiter well known for her large personality. The suit has seen a lot of publicity, from people taking pictures with her at cons, myself included, to alt-right grifters using videos and pictures of her as shock content to prove why all furries are bad. Tons of people have varying opinions on the suit, with some saying that it's over-sexualizing and exposing children to a lewd fursuit, and others claiming that it's fine as she's always fully clothed in public, and the suit doesn't even have, nip-nops. And some people do just have bodies with proportions similar to this, and them existing isn't inherently a sexual thing. I personally don't find anything wrong with the suit, as it's not that much different from those suits with over-prominent masculine features, and those almost always get a pass in these types of discussions. But I digress. If we stay on this topic for too long, it'll make Mex have to spend more time editing. Like right now, he's super busy slapping down stills and helping to express my point, and to make the video more visually appealing while I continue to ramble, and, I'll shut up now.
Gabriel E Glacies at FWA. We're winding up with a lot of celebrities, aren't we? So here's a short one for you. Gabriel E Glacies was at FWA 2014 and posted multiple selfies of himself at this event on Twitter. He was there unintentionally, by the way. Just so happened to be in the con hotel during, so don't go spreading rumors that he's actually a furry. We don't need another Chase Elliott. Talk about being fluffy, eh? Eh? Adult dance shows. Say what you will about the fandom nowadays and the embrace of the 18+ market at certain cons, things were a lot less controlled back in the day. And looky what I found, an erotic dance show from Eurofurence 14. Floor Wars Shu Haduken. In the, I believe, third iteration of the Dancer Fur staple Last for One's Floor Wars dance battle at anthrocon 2013, this finals battle between Theome and Zumba is still viewed among many furries as the gold standard of what this show is at its absolute best. The Shu Haduken is known among the Dancer Furs as one of the most incredible moments of that finals battle, where Theome launched his footpaw into the judges' table following a backflip. This moment now lives on in the minds of the Dancer Fur community, but not much anywhere else.
OSHA violation, people. Speaking of non-furry cosplayers, another funny group has been the OSHA employees. These are a group of people in yellow vests and hard hats who will go around and check if everything is quote-unquote up to code, from fursuits to waterfall fixtures in the pool, and anything in between. It's always silly to see them roaming around cons, and I even got to see them at AC. By the way, OSHA cosplayers said Fiona was OSHA approved, so we have an objective answer now.
The final tier is Tier 6, Myths and Rumors. This is stuff that is either untrue, fictional, or was never proven to be true. There are only 3 events that can fit the bill here, and those would be PAFCon, which is the fictional con from CSI Miami. Fun fact, I didn't actually find this out until post. They actually tried to make a PAFCon in real life. Flyers were distributed at both FWA and Further Confusion 2010. Furry Weekend Portland, or LA, and I swear to God, I did not dream this. I saw a flyer at, I believe, MFF 2011, advertising an event called No Joke YIFBQ. I do not remember where this event was scheduled to take place, but I do seem to recall it being somewhere in Missouri. Can someone please confirm this for me? I did not dream this, did I? I swear this was real. Am I taking crazy pills? YIFBQ is the worst name I've ever heard for an event. Second worst is Furconson.
Furconson's not bad.
Come on. Furconson is lazy.
They're all kind of lazy if you think about it.
Furbraska is slightly better.
I guess? I don't know.
It's just like, you put fur into the name. Ha ha ha.
Oh
It's so funny because, oh shit, you see they put fur and Wisconsin together and they made Furconson. Oh my god.
Furry Weekend Portland and LA. Now this one is pretty wild, and finding info on this has been really difficult, but in the beginning of 2024, a new con was announced known as Furry Weekend Portland to take place sometime later this year. People almost immediately noticed the lack of info on the site, with there being no code of contact, no guest of honor announced, and much more. There was also the promotional art containing AI-generated imagery, which, as we stated before, not exactly a popular thing in furry. Within 2 weeks or so of the con's announcement, they announced that Furry Weekend Portland was cancelled due to quote-unquote unforeseen circumstances from the hotel. Methinks they didn't finalize the hotel reservation, but who knows. And just like that, any promotional posts and announcements were deleted. But wait, there's more. Like a phoenix, Furry Weekend rose from the ashes, announcing that this was now going to be happening in LA in 2025. By the way, off script for a second, but none of them live in Portland, and I definitely don't think any of them live in LA, the people in charge of this, so I don't really know what's going on with this one. Also, apparently Mystery Skulls is playing at this con. This was a recent announcement. Now at a glance, this seems much more flushed out since their last attempt in Portland, but I'd still be skeptical of this one. Their website has little to no punctuation in some spots, which just kind of gives me a red flag. The hotel portion of their website just kind of has a picture of the Hilton Hotel. To their credit, this is the right Hilton in Los Angeles, but there's no info about bookings, room blocks, or any of that. The other links do appear to work and lead places, but I don't know, man, it still all feels kind of sketch. And as stated, they've been deleting a lot of posts, especially with the Portland side of things, so I wasn't able to gather a lot of info on this, but yeah, I don't see this con happening.
People having sex at FWA 2018 in open con space. During FWA 2018, a video of 2 alleged pup play cosplayers spread around furry Twitter claiming they were having sex in public. Unfortunately, the original post has been removed and all that remains is this still frame. There's also a video up on Vimeo that claims to have the actual event inside of it disproving the allegations cut from a 360-degree cam, but guys, how can you see anything here? It looks like it was recorded on a freaking Game Boy Color. Hello, post-production Mex here, just correcting a little bit here. Yeah, this video disproves it. I was looking at the wrong spot when I originally scripted this. You must have a fursuit to get in. This was a rumor started by, actually, I don't know where this started, Tyra Banks? Either way, I remember this being a big rumor about furries back in the early 2010s, but it's since kind of been made irrelevant just because there's so much documented footage of cons now, and unless somebody is wearing a human suit over their human body, I'm pretty sure these are all people without suits. Cons are sexual in nature. This has not, and for the most part has never been, true. While there is certainly content around that would be considered not safe for work at some cons, including multiple night markets across a few different ones, generally most con atmospheres are family friendly, with a few even being specifically PG rated and child friendly. This has been a non-stop rumor from trolls and anyone who fears things that are new and things that question their own morals that have been used to trash, shame, and attempt to disparage the fandom for over 2 decades at this point, and it's never worked. Most who care enough to look deep will find themselves here anyway. They were just in denial all along.
Adding on to this, there have been some cons that are 21+, such as Las Vegas FurCon, and those are objectively more adult-oriented, but the cons that cater to a wider audience see almost no public indecency, and if there is such happening, it's taken care of pretty much right away. I'm not going to pretend that furry doesn't have an adult side of things, however, that usually takes place back in hotel rooms, and away from public places where minors are, or people who really don't want to be a part of that sort of thing. Now, I know some people are going to try and run with this and claim that this makes FurCon sexual in nature, but like, come on, you don't think this happens at anime cons too?
Alright, and with that said, Misha, do you have any closing words?
Just thank you for watching, everybody, if you've watched this far, and thanks for having me on, Mex. If you want to look for my stuff, you can find me at Misha B. Barkin on YouTube, Twitch, and Blue Sky.
Sweet, I'm glad to have you here. Anyways, list of things that are cool. A shiny new car, cute fursuits, sunglasses, a refrigerator, a membership to the Ibolto7 YouTube channel. Yep, that's right, another shameless plug, cause bitch, I gotta eat. Memberships on this channel have varying tiers, from the lowest tier having early access to my content, and the highest tier having short requests with different perks added in between. A new perk for the $5 tier is that you will be shown on this screen with your choice of avatar next to your name, along with all the other lowest tier perks that come with it. Can't make a monthly commitment? No sweat, I have one-time tip links in the description. But hey, I get if you're not able to contribute financially, it's totally fine. Just like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see y'all next time. And as always, take it wheezy.